What's up, guys and gals? I'm your host, Mike Pugh of the FPC Virtual Channel, and you're tuning into a really dope video covering what is known as the MB Lab, also known as the Manuel Bastioni Lab. It used to be known as that, but they changed the name to MB Lab. So if y'all folks have no idea what I'm talking about, pretty much if you ever wanted to create anything in 3D, but most definitely trying to create a 3D human, you can do it using Blender, the 3D software that's available online for free, and in conjunction with this add-on for Blender known as the MB Lab. So in the past, in ancient times, it was very hard to create anything, obviously, but I'm just talking about in terms of 3D in ancient times and relevance to being able to create onto the internet using 3D models and things like that, projecting stuff onto YouTube, etc. It was very hard to do that, but today it's very easy because they have these auto generators where you can get 3D humans at the click of a button, literally. So that's what the MB Lab is today, but in the past and in those ancient times, it was known as the Manuel Bastioni Lab, and I'm talking about referring to Blender. So this is the hair system actual, more like a wiki page, so to speak. I don't think it's Wikipedia, but it's very similar. It's actually on GitHub, I believe. So I'll put the link, I believe I put the link to this actual location in the video's description area so you can get to it. And also, this is the download section for the MB Lab version 1.7.7 Bravo. So it's the B version, the most latest version I believe they have available. And if you want to get this, look in the video's description area, you can get to it. It will help you to get the download for Blender, so that way you can make it work out, so you can actually grow hair for your character. So what this is here that you see is just pretty much what they did with the character. They made an afro for the character's hair, so to speak, and it's just symbolizing pretty much how you can actually do it, or how it's going to look, I should say, not really how you can do it. I'm going to try to go into the how-to part to give y'all a little bit of the educational side to it. Pretty much what it is, it's particle hair on Blender. And Blender has a really dope new upgrade for grooming as well. So I'm going to show y'all folks that. Hopefully it will work out in this video for y'all to be able to see the whole thing, because my actual computer really does have issues. It does freeze up, and I apologize ahead of time if I'm having those issues. So the particle hair can be accessed through assets and hair. So you'll get to see all that stuff when I go through it, hopefully. Features, it says add hair from selected polygons. This is a really dope feature where you can choose to select specific polygons that are on your character mesh. So the model that you create using the MB Lab, whatever parts of the polygons you choose to select in edit mode, you'll be able to add, and this is after you finalize the character, so you'll be able to add here to those specific parts and components. So this is like a how-to showcasing what you can do in terms of how to do it. First you got to create and finalize the character. So if you ever used the Manuel Bastioni Lab in the past, you would be able to do this with ease because you don't have to relearn everything in terms of finalizing a character. But if you've never done it before, you'll hopefully get to see, like I said, in this session that I'm going to show y'all folks how to do it with the MB Lab add-on for Blender. So it hasn't changed that much in terms of what you could do in terms of getting these automated characters generated. So this is the newer thing that they added to it, which is the hair engine, which it did not have in the previous version, the Manuel Bastioni Ancient Times version, so to speak. Click on assets and here in the MB Lab GUI. So we're going to do that. Click on particle here. We're going to do that, and then it should be done. But when I did click on the particle here part, for some reason it sent the particle here under the character. So what I had to do is refit it using the Proxy fitting tool, and it doesn't state that here, but that's what I was not supposed to, but that's what I had to do. And then what it does when you use the proxy fitting tool, it sends the hair up above the head somehow. I don't know why. Maybe my offset is not set properly. You'll get to see all that stuff, hopefully. And then I had to readjust it and realign it for the head, and then I had to resize it as well in terms of scaling and stuff like that, which isn't the best looking way for it to work. So what I would recommend for folks to do is to try to add it as this part where it says how to add hair to selected polygons. So you go into edit mode after you select the 3D mesh of the character's skin, and then you choose what polygons. So you'll get to see these polygons if you go into, I believe, what do they call that mode? I forgot the mode. It's an actual, what do they call it? I totally forgot. I have to go into Blender so y'all folks can see it. I don't depend on my memory on Blender because I'm not that great at it, but believe it's more like a shader. It's a shading option. So I think it's wireframe. That's what it is. So I remembered it, but I don't remember everything on the fly all the time, especially live. So this is a live session, by the way, folks. So when we go into Blender, we go and change it to wireframe mode in terms of the shader or shading mode that you wanted it to be in. And then you'll get to see the wireframes, and then you can go in and you can select which polygons you want to select. You can actually change it to faces in terms of face select or point select or edge select, and I'll show you folks that as well. And once you choose to select those options, you'll get to choose which particular areas, like selecting this that you see that's highlighted here, to create maybe like a beard. And that's what you'll see here. The character seems like it's growing hair or particle hair, and then you can groom it over time by using the grooming tool that I'm gonna show y'all folks as well. So that is pretty dope, and all of that is through Blender version 2.81. I don't think Blender 2.80 version is available anymore, and I don't think that version you could do the grooming. I'm not sure about Blender 2.82, but currently the most stable version of Blender is 2.81. So let's go to Blender real quick so y'all folks can see. If you never got Blender, I highly recommend for y'all folks to download it. It's an open source tool. It's free, as well as the MB Lab is free and open source. These are some dope tools. When they work in combination with each other and in conjunction, boom, now you can do some amazing stuff. So the version that I have on my computer, I have actually multiple versions, but the version I'm going to be running right now is Blender 2.81 Alpha. So we'll go run it up, and y'all folks will get to see it. Like I said, hopefully my computer doesn't freeze in between, because right now I'm trying to load up Blender, and it takes a lot of CPU and GPU to process stuff. So also depending on your settings that you choose to put it at. So if you never use Blender 3D, like I said, I highly recommend for y'all folks to use it. Go for it, get it on your computer, and you'll see you're going to be able to do some amazing stuff. Now, in terms of Blender, you have to have a higher level computer to run Blender 2.8 and beyond. So Blender 2.81 Alpha and above, you're going to have a strong computer, strong graphics card. Basically CPU, GPU has to be up there. So if you don't have the compatibility understanding, you don't know what compatibility to use, let's go in and I'll try to find that for you. But pretty much you can go off of the website and you can find it yourself as well. You would have to go and scroll through and try to dig in to the information to find that. So I tend to go to the bottom of a website to find out that kind of stuff, because it may not be straightforward for you right away for you to be able to get it right off the bat. Let's see, documentation, maybe it's in that. I remember I had it at one point in time, but I don't remember every location of what I researched. So it will take some time. They got a manual here, they got tutorials, community. Let's just try documentation and see what it does. It brings up this part here about how to get started, communications, and I'm not sure, but pretty much, like I said, you got to search through the website and you'll be able to find it over time. It just takes a little while to navigate to that part. So that's kind of boring right now, but I'll put the link inside the video's description area so y'all folks can get to it. whoever chooses to download Blender and go for it. But here it goes, Blender's up and running, and I'm gonna bypass a lot of the MB Lab import process and all of the differing things that you have to do at the moment. I just want y'all folks to see that I got the hair running. So we're gonna go in a character build that I did, and pretty decent character. I customized him as far as I could get him. And his hair, he kind of looks a little bald right here, but that's because I'm in the particle edit mode, which Blender now has in Blender 2.81, which is dope. So let me go up, go to object mode, and you'll see that he has hair, but I have to work on the hair. So like over here, some of the hair looks like it's not really in a good placement. The ear is kind of messed up over here with the hair, and this part of the ear is a little okay, but not that great. So what I want to do is probably move the hair up. So what I'll do is go to, what is this? Let's see, scale, raise the scale on it just a little, or actually decrease the scale on it a little bit, and then raise the hair up. Let's see. That might help a little. And do it one more time. Decrease and raise it. Okay, so it seems like the upper portion is having the issue, but let's move it down a little bit and see how it looks now. This looks a little better, but the ears look good, but the top of the head is the issue. Like the hair up here is the issue. But y'all folks know what I'm saying. It's not really that bad. It's not horrible, but it's not great. It's not fantastic. So you have to work on it and just resize. Now what I did with this hair, I groomed it. And to be able to get the hair in general to make it work, like I said, first you have to make the character. So you got to finalize the character. So how does that work? You have all these tools over here, and that's through the MB Lab add-on. So this is the MB Lab add-on. Here goes all my add-ons I have. I have a bunch of add-ons. So in the MB Lab add-on is MB-Lab 1.7.7. It gives you many different options to create characters. So right now I have a Latino male character. That's what this character is, and I can create pretty much any character type that they have available. They have Afro female, Asian female, Caucasian female, Latino female, etc., etc. So many different characters that you can choose to create. Now what I love that they did, they seem to be updating consistently the mesh and the textures. So if you go in and you scroll in, you'll notice that the eyes look pretty realistic, pretty dope, right? And that will make it all stand out. So this is not necessarily about all of that, but I just wanted to show y'all folks some of the updates. They also changed the default. So the default character is Afro female. So with that, we'll go and try to create that character and show y'all folks how to generate the hair like I did. I just wanted to give you more of like a teaser to the fact that you can get the hair in there. You also can go in and you can change the hair color. So you have to select it. Now one thing about Blender, when you choose to select something, it highlights. Now with this hair, for some reason it's not highlighting, so don't worry about that. If it doesn't highlight, it's all good. So we'll go to use nodes, and we'll go into the character's hair and try to add some color to it. So maybe we wanted it to be a different color. See? So you can go in and you can change the color, which is pretty dope, and make it what you want it to look like. Look at that purple hair, whatever. It's all up to you. It's your fancy. Choose your fancy. See what you like, what you want to do with it. And it doesn't look that great, obviously, but this is because I just started with the hair and I want to really go far, so I have to start building more hair into it. So I'm gonna show y'all folks like how to get it initiated, how to get it started, stuff like that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna end this session, go back to general, and don't save it. And now I'll start off as if I was you using Blender. No knowledge of how to use this stuff, no knowledge of how to create a character or nothing. You don't need any knowledge really to make Blender work for character building per se. You don't really need to know 3D modeling because these auto generators will help you. So what I'm going to do, what you do need to know is how to navigate Blender. So we're going to use the shift key, depress the shift key on the keyboard, and I'm going to depress the mouse scroll wheel and move the mouse up. And now what that does is it slides the viewport with the grid, and this grid is basically showcasing where you can have a ground plane. You can choose to put a ground here if you want. If you never use Blender, think of Blender as a home studio where you can create, you have an infinite studio space. It's not really infinite, but it's a great amount of studio space in there where you can build 3D assets, 3D projects. You can create scenes. You can have fun with this space here. And what you see, the grid, basically this grid is going to indicate placements and locations of where you can place your stuff at. So think of it like that. Now you got lamps. You also have cameras in your 3D studio space, and think of it as a world space. So think of this as like a location of an address or something where there's no houses built or nothing built into it. The only thing that it starts out with on Blender is a cube. So let's go with that real quick before we start, so y'all guys and gals who are new to it get an idea as to what you're doing. So you got the cube in there. You can move the cube around using these arrows. As long as you select it on this move tool here in the left side of the screen, you can move it around. You can choose to rotate it, play around, rotate. You can do all kinds of stuff, right? You have this tweak tool in Blender 2.81 and 8.2 where you can go to select box, select circle, select lasso. That's kind of like if you ever used Adobe Photoshop, where you have the different options to choose selectivity and how you want your mouse selectivity to work and function for controlling the 3D viewport, so, and the objects that are in it. So you can do all of that kind of stuff. But what we're going to do, we're going to go to the MB Lab tab, and instead of messing with the cube, we're going to delete the cube and we're going to insert a character. So it's very simple to do that. Make sure you're selected on what type of character you want. We're going to go with the default, which is the Afro female. We'll slide this out so you can see the wording a little better. And all these things, we're not going to let this mystify us. We're just basically going to go with the flow with what's chosen. Actually, what we'll do is select use Eevee engine, because Eevee engine works a little bit easier than the Cycles engine. Cycles engine takes a lot of time, and that deals with rendering. So you want to use a render engine to generate higher quality graphics. So that's what Blender has built into it. So it has Cycles and Eevee. So just go with the flow of what I'm trying to say. If you're brand new to it, use the Eevee engine starting out. Select that, make sure it's highlighted in blue. And then what you're going to do is create character. You click this little tab, and it's very simple. That's all you needed to do in order to get your character up. So when you click it, you'll see it's going to insert itself into the viewport through its character generation software automation. So it's all automated. The developers did it for you, whoever created this actual software. First, it was the Manuel Bastioni, the actual developer himself, but over time it turned into other people trying to support this actual software. So he actually stopped building and developing on it. Manuel Bastioni no longer builds and develops on it, and that was the developer's name. That's why they took the name out and they made it MB Lab, which is, since it's open source, it can be redeveloped and worked on by anybody else. So even you, if you're a developer, you can actually take the code and create your own version of it. That's how open source works. We're going to scale. Now what I did is choose to select the scale option, or you can press the S key after pressing the shift key on your keyboard. So you can do shift S, I believe. No. Just press the S key. So all you need to do is press the S key and you can scale it out. Now what I did, I had to select over here the skeleton. So I went into this thing is known as the outliner. I went into the outliner area where it has all of your 3D assets and differing elements that's built into the viewport, it has it laid out over here. It's also known as collections. So I went and I chose to left click this area where it says skeleton, because I knew that it gives me the access to control the skeleton. Instead of selecting the skeleton in the viewport, you can select it here if you want. And that's how I was able to scale out the whole entire object. Now if I was only selected onto the skin and I try to scale, it's going to leave the skeleton down below and it won't scale it, or maybe above if you're scaling it lower beneath the size. So just keep that in mind. Now I'm going to use the right click mouse button to exit that move, that scale, so it sends it back. So you can always use the right click mouse button. If you're left click enabled, meaning you're controlling your Blender viewport and objects with your left click mouse button, which Blender 2.80 and above is by default left click enabled. So if you have it left click enabled, you never changed it, the right click mouse will tend to default you back to the previous stated condition. So that way you don't have to use control and the Z key. Control and the Z key is another way for you to undo an action. So you can go to edit and undo, and you'll see up there it says control Z. So that's the kind of stuff you can do as well. And I should pull out my smartphone. Hopefully it is not losing too much power. We got good power. We got 77%. So I'm going to pull out my smartphone at this time to see if y'all folks have any questions. But I'm getting y'all started on this actual tool. And for new folks, I'm trying to help y'all folks to follow along as well. So now we got the character up and running. It's an African-American male. African-American female. Sorry about that. And we are having some scroll issues. So if you have any scrolling issues where you can't zoom in too close, what you want to do is go to View, and then you go to Frame Selected, and you should be able to zoom in a little bit better. So now I can zoom in closer. So again, you go to View. Up in the upper area where you see the actual control toolbar for your viewport. This is more like a viewport. Okay, so I do apologize if I had a little glitch in my session. For some reason it said that OBS Studio disconnected. So it probably is a glitch on that end, and that was a little brief moment in glitch and error. But I apologize. I will have technical difficulties from time to time. That's just how it works. Like I said, this computer is kind of screwy. So, alright, we got the character up and running. So what we want to do now, once you get your character built into the screen, it's not totally ready 100%. So first what you want to do is try to recustomize and rebuild the character so it can look a little bit unique and different from someone else's defaulted character, because there's literally millions and millions of people online that have access to the same exact software. So why would you want to create a unique character out of the default character? Well, you don't want yours to look identical to theirs, obviously. So you want to create your own unique look. So if you want to do that, you can go into this random generator thing here, or you can go into any of the other options and try to change how the character looks. You can go to character library and you can change things automatically. Like just go to athletic type if you want. That automatically changes the character's body type. You can go into extreme bodybuilder, boom, and look at the character. It automatically will change the body type. So you can do that kind of stuff. It's really simple. It's just go in and select options from the character library. So it's a drop menu that pops out, and that's that. It's pretty simple. But let me just go in real quick, like I was saying, off of my smartphone and see if I have any questions. Hold on one second. Let me turn the audio down and see if I can get anybody. All right, we got Eon Randall. Hoo-hoo, it's out for 2.81. Yes, it is. It's dope. We got Drip CG. Hi, I learned a lot from you. Thank you. I'm from Korea. Oh, that's what's up, man. Or female. I'm not sure if that's a male or female. Eon Randall said, is the cloth section working in MB Lab as well? Now that part I haven't figured out in terms of this new MB Lab. For some reason I cannot find the cloth I went in after you finalize. That's what I'm about to show y'all, folks. Once you get your character fully customized, then you want to finalize the character. Once you finalize the character, then you have to go in and choose different options. So let's do that real quick. Let's go to random generator and try to work on this part real quick, just to show y'all folks what you can do with it. So with random generator, basically it allows you to specialize the features to some degree. So you can go in and preserve whatever features you want to preserve. So if you don't want to change the face, obviously I want to change the face, so I don't want to select this. So if you don't want to change something, you select it. You have to put a check mark in there. So I don't want to change the height, I don't want to change the mass, I don't want to change the tone. I like how the body looks. It's okay for her to be a bodybuilder. It's all good. I like that. I'm not going to change the body. I want to change the face phenotype and fantasy because I want to see what it's going to turn into. And we'll use light so that it does not go too crazy. So we click generate, and you'll see that the face will change its facial feature structure. And every time you click generate, it's going to give you a different look. Now it doesn't go too hard because right now I'm on light, but if I go to realistic, we're going to see how hard it goes to change and generate a new look. As you can see, it looks a lot different. Now I want the nose to change too, obviously. So let's go to noticeable, see what that does. Boom. Alright, that's a big noticeable change. Maybe we want to go with that. We want her to look like an elf, right? Or a possible dwarf, because dwarfs are huge, right? So I guess that's what we want to go with. I don't know. And she looks kind of rough, but yeah, I wouldn't mess with her in the street, obviously. So let's go and end this part. So we'll close the random generator down. So that's the character I wanted to build. Boom. Let's go into finalizing tools. So finalize is how you get your character ready and prep for doing other stuff like adding clothes, adding hair, adding all kinds of other things. And it also builds in the armature for your character. It preps your character for animations and things like that. And you don't have to worry about all of that advanced stuff. You just go select this arrow here that says finalize and select save images and backup character. Once you choose that, bam, you're off to the races. So you select that, it will turn from blue to orange, and then you go to finalize at the bottom. Now what it actually does is send an image file and some backup data to an actual file repository on your computer. So that's what it does, but you don't have to know that it does that. I just wanted to give y'all folks extra information because it's more like magic. You're like, what's going on now? Why do I have to do that? So that's why it does that. Then you go to finalize, and finalize will prep it out on Blender. So it's going to tie it into Blender and have everything set up for you. It'll go through calculating. It says not responding on the top of Blender. Sometimes it does it. It might even crash on your computer if your computer is not working that great. If it's not the best computer, if you did not remove a lot of the garbage on your computer that's clogging it up, stuff like that, it may crash for those reasons. Maybe your GPU is not that powerful, or CPU. But if it does work, you'll get to see that it goes back to the creation options, and it's kind of, I don't know, it kind of throws you off because you're like, what do I do now? So at that point, don't get confused. Now all you do is go to after creation tools, and now you have the options to create a face rig, which actually does not work, or hasn't worked for me yet in this actual newer add-on version 1.7.7, so it hasn't worked for me yet. So I'm not going to be playing with that right now until they get it working 100%. So they're still trying to work on the add-on. You can go to facial expressions. You can change the facial expressions. Maybe we wanted it to be a happy face. Let's see. Happy. We got happy 01. We're going to scroll it all the way to the right and give her a smile. We'll go, I don't know, just play around with it for a second. Go to surprise, maybe surprise 01. And boom, open the mouth. See, now you can really play with the character, have fun, and do things like that. So that's the options. I just wanted to show y'all folks some other stuff that they added. I believe in the previous versions of Manuel Bastioni, it did have that ability. Let's go to assets and here. But if it wasn't added before, now we have that option, which is pretty dope. You go to assets in here, you click on that arrow, and you're not going to use the library folder or this area at all at the moment because you don't have anything to put in there. So what you want to do is just click on and select particle here. But before you do that, you want to zoom out so you see where the hair lands at. So currently the hair is actually going to land in between the legs at the bottom because I've done it before. Now what I want to do is do this. I never played with this, but what I want to do is try to put the 3D cursor around the center of the head, because actually maybe like the top of the head, because I believe it's gonna insert itself based on where the 3D cursor is at, which I'm not sure 100%, but I think it may be using the 3D cursor as a reference point to insert that object. Now, a great deal of objects, new objects that you choose to insert or add, will actually locate itself through wherever the 3D cursor is placed at. So the 3D cursor generally will be defaulted at the origin point, which is at the 000 position on the screen. So where you see the crosshairs of the grid in the very center point of the crosshairs is where the 3D cursor will originate. So it generally is this point here that you see, this little orange dot. So that's the center point, aka the origin point. But here we at the top of the head, and we move the 3D cursor there. So let's see what it does. I'm just guessing and hoping that it will work that way, but 9 times out of 10 it's going to place the hair somewhere down here. So we're going to hit particle here. Hopefully it works. First time I did it, actually it didn't work, but it's probably because I had some other stuff going on. It worked, and it put it right between the legs. See that? There goes the hair right there. So I don't know why it does that, but the hair is right here in between the legs. I'm going to select the hair by clicking it itself with my left click mouse button. And now what I'm going to do is go to the Proxy fitting tool, which is right below the hair from selected and particle here. And I'm going to choose that. But first I'm going to back it out and bring it back to where the head is at. And y'all folks will see it's going to go over here. It's not magic. It actually gets refitted over the head, and it also weight paints it. So in 3D modeling, whenever you hear anything dealing with weight painting, that deals with animation pretty much. So you're getting your 3D object to be prepared for animations by doing what is known as weight painting to select all of the differing mesh to tie to a particular rig. So this character already has a rig, because once you finalize it, it gives it a rig. A rig is basically 3D bone structure / armature, which will give it the controls to move the mesh around. So you'll get to see the mesh move. That's how a lot of the differing body parts will be able to function as an animation. So all of that stuff, that highly technical stuff, rigging is kind of technical, and it's not something impossible for you to learn, but it's really not something for a beginner to learn right away. You want to learn how to create the 3D model first. But with this character auto generation stuff, it bypasses all of that stuff, and it will have you as looking like a professional modeler, professional 3D artist, almost on the fly. So pretty much the character is rigged. It has all of that stuff going on for it. You saw the bones. So what it's going to do, once I play with the proxy thing, it's going to weight paint the hair to the head. So whenever I move the head or I move the body, it's going to move with it. So that's pretty dope. So you select that drop menu for proxy fitting, and you can choose an offset, and you can change the influence. This stuff basically will position it, I think, in different locations as well. Besides me trying to play with the 3D cursor, it's going to position it somewhere above the head. So for now, I'm going to leave it the way it is. I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to go to where it says Fit Proxy. Now they have advanced. They also have this thing called Add Mass Vert Group and Transfer Weight from Body to Proxy. Actually, I'm going to select Transfer Weight from Body to Proxy, so that way it does what I was talking about in terms of the weight painting. So I want that selected. Actually, it should be highlighted in blue. So it's defaulted, it's selected by default. So we're gonna go and hit fit proxy. When you click that, it will go in and do its magic. And you'll see it should shoot up to the top. And there it is. It shot up to the top. It's actually looks like it's properly fitted. Wow. So it worked, and it worked in a really, really cool way. Now the hair is up there and the hair is ready for me to groom it. So this is the part where you're going to get to see the grooming. So it is really, really dope. I don't want to go too crazy with grooming because I was having my computer freeze for some reason. But in order for you to access the grooming features on Blender 2.81, you go up to the upper right corner, the upper left corner where it says object mode. You click it and then you go down to particle edit. So that's the new feature that I never seen before in Blender and before this new add-on for Manuel Bastioni or MB Lab. So let's go to particle edit. And when you go there, you'll get to see that you have your mouse turns into a circle, so to speak. Like it's still a mouse, but it has a circle, almost like circle select. And now you can go in and you can do different things. So you have the option to comb, you have the option to smooth, and this is a toolbar on the left side of the screen. So your toolbar turns into a particle edit toolbar. So you got smooth, you have add. This allows you to add more strands of particle here. And then you can go to length. I guess you can increase the length. You can puff the hair out. You can cut it. And then you can weight. I guess this is weight painting. So I don't need that. I just want to try to groom the hair. So let's groom it a little bit. And you'll literally see it groom. So we'll bring it down. So think of it as you having a brush in your hand. And you would tend to have to rotate. So how I'm rotating, I'm using the mouse scroll wheel. So I'm depressing the mouse scroll wheel and just rotating by using my left click mouse button to move, or not left click, I'm depressing the mouse scroll wheel, sorry about that, and just moving from left to right my mouse. So here we go, just grooming the hair just a little bit gently, not going too crazy. And you'll get to see that it looks groomed. Like, it's really cool. Alright, so I just wanted it to look like this. We go to object mode and you'll see that the hair was actually styled and groomed to some degree. Boom. Now how do you change the hair color? You select it like I was talking about before. Make sure you're in the tweak option, not the 3D cursor. You depress the tweak option, make sure you're in tweak and not select box, select circle or lasso. So you go to tweak itself. How you do that is you just use your left click mouse button and just move it up and down. You select by depressing and then move it in and then move it up and down. But keep your left click mouse button depressed in order to do that. So now what we'll do, doesn't look too good in terms of stylish. I'm not a hairstylist yet on Blender, but I plan to be. So you select from there. Let's move the 3D cursor somewhere else so we don't get confused. So we select with the left click mouse button, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go in this tool control area. It's more like a module. This is a module for controlling different things like properties. So you can go into material properties. You can go into let's see, render properties. You can go into output properties for your render, view layer properties. These are your properties areas for controlling certain things like skin, textures, any kind of texture issues. You want to fix textures, you want to change like noding controls and things like that. If you don't know anything about noding, you can look it up on YouTube, but for Blender, nodes will help you to be able to get fine-tuned textures and make it look really, really good, or improve the quality, obviously. So we're gonna, like I said, select the hair. It's not gonna highlight like I talked about earlier. And then you're gonna go to material properties. So in the material properties, there's actually nothing available for the hair when you first started out. So you have to click this new tab and it will create a material for you. So you have nothing to start. That's why it's white. So you created a material by selecting new, and then you go to base color and choose what color type you want it to be. So maybe I want her hair to be pink. I don't know. So there we go. Now she has pink hair. And from there, you can play around and start grooming a little bit more. And you can really deck it out so she can have, or he, whoever your character is, to make it look specialized and make it look dope. Now, say you wanted to add more hair because it looks like she's balding a little bit over here. So let's go back to particle edit and let's go to the add. So how that works, you just select an area and use the left click mouse button and it literally adds more hair. Now this is dope. It's really dope that it works in conjunction with the add-on. So this is pretty dope. You can also depress the mouse scroll wheel and just move it around. And this is where I ended up getting a lot of the freezing because it actually is doing a lot. So I don't want to do too much, but just showing y'all folks what you can do. Okay, I'm done with that. So that's a lot of hair, obviously. If you go back, you'll see it's a lot of hair. She got a lot of hair now. Boom, really cool. So from there, you can groom all of that stuff and really deck it out. So what I'm gonna do for now, I'm just gonna go in and save it because I don't want to lose all of that work. So I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna call it hair, her hair. I don't know. Save it to a folder on my computer. And let me double check and see if y'all folks got any questions. So no new questions, no new discussion yet. Maybe I have to get out of this. Maybe it froze a little bit, and let me go back in. Let's see. I don't see any comments. Maybe my live stream is not even running. I don't know. Hopefully it's running on YouTube. Let's go and check. Alright. So I think it is running. It's still live and it's showcasing here, which is cool. Alright, so we're gonna go back. We're gonna add it to her hair .blend and save as. And boom, now she's good. So we're gonna attempt to groom it a little bit and hopefully the computer doesn't freeze. So let's go back to particle hair and just groom it a little. Oops, wrong thing. Go to comb and just comb it a little bit just to brush the hair down. Like so. And hopefully we can get her to look styled out. Like that. And it actually grooms like. I do apologize for that error. We are back in action and I had a glitch. The computer froze when I was trying to groom the hair, which I did kind of know it was gonna happen because it happened maybe like 4 times to me already. So I may bypass that part or may just go for it again. Let's see if I can do it. I'm gonna take my time. Actually, go back to the comb. Take my time with it. Go slow. But yeah, that part screwed me up. I lied, I went fast. I'm just gonna try and see how it looks. Wow, that looks pretty cool. Maybe give her like a mohawk or something. I don't know. That'd be dope if I give her a mohawk. Let's go in and try that. Oh, that's edit mode, my bad. Change that out. That's how it actually looks in edit mode, by the way. When the hair is being edited in edit mode, but I want to go to particle edit. So let's go down with that. It might actually work this time because the computer hasn't been on that long. So boom. Something like that. And just let's go back. That looks kind of cool. And some of them I might have to get rid of in the front because the front looks a little too crazy. But actually she looks stylish like that. I think that's dope. Maybe do a little bit more grooming in the back right here. and get rid of some of this hair over here. As you can see, it's going into her ear. So let's try to groom that out by cutting that part. So we'll go in and try to cut it. Maybe access the X-ray a little bit and go in and cut that out. Okay, let's see if that worked. Go back in and bam, it actually worked. So that's cool. Alright, so she doesn't look too bad. I actually like the pink. It's not that bad. Let's go and try to change the render, the shading, and look at that. Now we shaded it and it really does look stylish. That's how it looks with it being rendered in Eevee. Pretty cool. So I just wanted y'all folks to see what is possible, what you can do. You can do more than this, obviously, but this is just a start for me per se. I'm gonna hit the N key and the T key, make that go away, and I'll right click in between here and click show header, make that go away, so you can see the full view of what I was able to create. So I mean, creativity is really important, folks, so try to go as hard as you can with your creativity. Hopefully you learn this this method. If you ever used the MB Lab before or Manuel Bastioni Lab in the past, this should have helped you for sure. But if you're brand new to Blender, you want to check out some previous sessions of videos that I've covered or other people who know how to use Blender have covered. If you've never known of Blender and you want to learn it all the way around, you can go to help over here in the upper left area and go to manual or tutorials, and you can learn a lot online as well. You can learn from forums, you can learn from YouTube videos. I highly recommend for y'all folks to do that, but I'll try to put a link to my actual Blender. I have a playlist that I created on my YouTube channel, which I'll show y'all folks that as well. Let's go to my YouTube channel.
What's going on, guys and gals? I'm your host.
Sorry about that. We'll go and try to get to my YouTube channel so you can see the playlist itself for Blender. And I have tons of curated videos. So I try to curate videos besides just showing my own videos. So what we're going to do is go to that, and you'll see here I have tons of other creators who actually launch videos all the time consistently, and I curate their videos to this actual Blender playlist so everyone can learn from one location. Instead of going to one specific channel, you're going to multiple differing people's channels, and you can try their how-tos on differing techniques, strategies, all kinds of different things that they offer. Some people just cover stuff and showcase what's new on Blender. Some people go into things that you never knew existed on Blender. And there's other people who come up with add-ons. There's tons of creators, creativity being showcased. There's tons of 3D artists, 3D modelers, 3D animators, things like that. So you can learn a lot from this playlist. So I highly recommend for y'all folks to check it out. I also have, I believe, a Blender dedicated playlist from specific Blender guru type people. So people who are really skilled at Blender. I believe I have another one. It's right. Oh, I have a Blender add-ons one, I think, and this one is Blender fundamentals. Let's try that one. So yeah, so this one I'll try to link y'all folks to this. This is really important to learn Blender 2.8 and beyond. So I have this one called Blender Fundamentals. You can also type it into YouTube, type in Blender Fundamentals 2.8, and you should be able to get to it as well. And this one will show you folks how to get started on Blender. For every little thing and detail that you're looking to learn, it should have a good deal of information and catch you up on things that you have no idea about. So first steps, Blender 2.8 fundamentals, it starts with that, and then goes into viewport navigation, which I talked about, and then interface overview, and it goes really deep. Like, it's really good. So I highly recommend for y'all folks to do that. You can also learn from a guy known as Darren Lyle. Let me try to type his name out. I talk about him a lot because he's really great at Blender. You can find him also on differing educational websites. I believe I have an educational software on my actual smartphone, which I don't use often, but it does have good information behind it, and I have to find it actually. But I'll try to find it, and I'll let y'all know if I do find it. But this is the guy, Darren Lyle. Just type in his name, DARRINLILE. He has 178 videos, 119,000 subscribers. He's an animator, author, developer, and instructor. And he pretty much is really highly skilled. He has a bachelor's and master's degree in film and media studies. So when you learn from him, you're really gonna get a solid base on how Blender works. You can even go back to the older Blender tutorials that he did from the older versions, but I believe he has some newer videos for Blender 2.8 and above. So just check it out. Like these are his recent videos, so you can learn a lot from them, and he's really great. So hopefully this helps you as well. Like right here it says let's create with Blender. He creates a cash register, he creates all kinds of different things. So this gives you an idea of how to create stuff from someone who is really skilled, highly skilled. And other than that, that's all I got. Joy, love, and peace to all. I will be trying to showcase other things using the Manuel Bastioni Lab as time goes along, or the MB Lab, I should say, because it was renamed MB Lab. I'll do my best to cover everything I can. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and blast that bell icon out of the universe if y'all folks want to get my latest. If you don't know what a bell icon is, it's generally after you click subscribe, there's a little bell button that shows up. So if you want to get my latest videos, then most definitely go for that. And that is all I got. Let me check to see if I have any questions before I leave, any comments, and give credit to those who actually checked out my live stream. So let's see if I have any more. Actually, my live stream, I don't think is streaming. Is it streaming? Let's go back. Oh, it is working. All right, so I saw that comment, so it is working. Good. So that's all I got. I'm out. I have to end the stream, and I'll see you next time. Peace.